Matt Galloway. I don't believe in the death penalty. It's just too much for me, you know? I don't think that one person's life should be taken as redemption for having taken another's. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Marjorie, part of me wants McKinney to get it, but I'm not very proud of that. I was on and off and off and on. I can't say what I would do. I'm too personally involved.
Zaki Salmon. Oh, I believe in the death penalty 100%. You know? Because I want to make sure that guy's ass dies. This is the one instance where I truly believe an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
Subaidullah. How can I protest if the shepherds want McKinney dead? I just can't interfere with that, but on a personal level, I knew Aaron in grade school. We never called him Aaron. He was called AJ. How can we put AJ McKinney? How can we put AJ to death?
Father Roger Schmidt. I think our most important teachers must be Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney. How did you learn? How were you raised? What did we as a society do to teach you that? See, I don't know if many people would let them be their teachers, but I think it would be wonderful if the judge said, in addition to your sentence, you must tell your story. You must tell your story.
All rise. State of Wyoming versus Aaron James McKinney. Docket number 6381. The Honorable Barton R. Voigt presiding. The court is in session.
The day of the trial, the prosecution played a tape recording of Aaron McKinney's confession. The following is an excerpt from that confession.
My name is Rob DeBree, Sergeant for the Sheriff's Office. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and may be used against you in a court of law. Okay. So you guys, you and Russ, you go to the fireside. So you're at the fireside by yourselves, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you go after you leave the fireside?
Some kid wanted to ride home.
What's he look like?
Like a queer. Yeah, a real queer dude.
He looks like a queer.
Yeah, like a fag. You know?
Okay. How did you guys meet him?
He said he wanted to ride home. I just thought, look, the dude's drunk, let's just take him home.
When did you and Russ talk about jacking him up?
We talked about it at the bar for a little bit.
Okay. What happened next?
Well, we drove him out past Walmart, and then he started putting his hand on my leg and, you know, like touching my genitals, and I was like, look, I'm not a faggot. You know, if you try that again, you're gonna get it. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but I beat him up pretty bad. I think I killed him.
What did you beat him with?
Blacked out. My fist. My pistol, the butt of the gun. Wondering what happened to me, you know? I had a few beers and so I don't know, it's just like I could see what was happening, but it was like somebody else was doing it.
What was the first thing that he said or that he did in the truck that made you
He put his hand on my leg and he slid it up like he was gonna grab my balls.
When the defense team argued that McKinney did what he did because Matthew made a pass at him, I just wanted to vomit because that's like saying that it's okay. It's like the Twinkie defense when that guy killed Harvey Milk in Moscone. It's the same thing.
Rebecca Hilliger, as much as
Yeah, I mean, he tries little swings or whatever, but they weren't very effective.
Okay. How many times did you and Russ hit him in the truck before you guys stopped where you left him?
I'd say I hit him like 2 or 3 times, 3 times with my fist and then 6 times with my pistol.
Did he ask you to stop?
Yeah, he was getting the crap kicked out of him.
What did he say?
After he asked me to stop, all he was doing was screaming.
So Russ kind of dragged him over to the fence, I'm assuming, and tied him up.
Something like that. Look, all I remember was that Russ was laughing at first, but he got pretty scared.
Was Matthew conscious when Russ tied him up?
Yeah, I asked him to turn around and not to look at my license plate because I was, scared he was going to tell the police. So when I asked him to read what my license plate said, and he did, I hit him a few more times.
Just to be sure. So obviously you don't like gay people.
No, I don't.
Would you say you hate them?
I mean, I wouldn't say like I hate them, but it's just when they start coming on to me and stuff, I get pretty aggravated.
Did he threaten you?
This gay dude?
Yeah.
I mean, not really.
Can you answer me one more thing? Why'd you guys take his shoes?
I don't know. And now I'm never gonna see my son again.
I don't know. You'll probably go to court sometime today.
Today? So I'm just gonna go in there today and plead guilty or not guilty today?
No, you're just going to be arraigned today.
So he's gonna die. For sure, huh?
There is no doubt that Mr. Shepard is going to die.
So what are they gonna give me? 25 to life or just give me the death penalty? Get it over with.
That's not our job. That's the judge's job and the jury.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. We, the jury, impaneled and sworn to try the above entitled case, after having well and truly tried the matter, and anonymously find as follows. As to the charge of kidnapping, we find the defendant Aaron James McKinnon guilty. As to the charge of aggravated robbery, we find the defendant Aaron James McKinnon guilty. As to the charge of first-degree murder, kidnapping, we find the defendant Aaron James McKinnon guilty.
Aaron
As to the
McKinney
charge
was found guilty of
first-degree
felony murder, which
robbery,
meant the jury
we
could give him the
find
death
defendant Aaron James
penalty.
McKinnon guilty. As
That
to the
evening,
charge of
Judy and
premeditated
Dennis Shepard were
first-degree
approached
murder,
by
we
McKinney's
find the
defense team
defendant
who
Aaron
pled for
James
their client's
McKinnon
life.
guilty. As to the
The next
lesser
morning,
included second-degree murder, we find
Dennis
the
Shepard made a
defendant
statement
Aaron
to the
James
court.
McKinnon guilty.
Here's some of what he said.
My son Matthew did not look like a winner. He was rather uncoordinated and wore braces from the age of 13 until the day he died. However, in his all too brief life, he proved that he was a winner. On October 6, 1998, my son tried to show the world that he could win again. On October 12th, 1998, my firstborn son and my hero lost. On October 12th, 1998, my firstborn son and my hero died. 50 days before his 22nd birthday. I keep wondering the same thing that I did when I first saw him in the hospital. What would he have become? How could he have changed his piece of the world to make it better? Matt officially died in a hospital in Fort Collins, Colorado. He actually died
on the outskirts of Laramie, tied to a fence. You, Mr. McKinney, with your friend Mr. Henderson, left him out there by himself, but he wasn't alone. He had his lifelong friends with him, friends that he had grown up with. You're probably wondering who those friends were. First, he had the beautiful night sky and the same stars and moon that we used to see through a telescope. And then he had the daylight and the sun to shine on him. And through it all, he was breathing in the scent of the pine trees from the snowy range. He heard the wind, the ever-present Wyoming wind, for the last time. He had one more friend with him. He had God. And I feel better knowing that he wasn't alone. Matt's beating, hospitalization, and funeral focused worldwide attention on hate. Good is coming out of evil. People have said, enough is enough. I miss my son, but I am proud to be able to say that he is my son. Judy has been quoted as being against the death penalty. It has been stated that Matt was against the death penalty. Both of these statements are wrong. Matt believed that there were crimes and incidents that justified the death penalty. I, too, believe in the death penalty. I would like nothing better than to see you die, Mr. McKinney. However, this is the time to begin the healing process. To show mercy to someone who refused to show any mercy. Mr. McKinney, I am going to grant you life, as hard as it is for me to do so because of Matthew. Every time you celebrate Christmas, a birthday, the 4th of July, remember that Matt isn't. Every time you wake up in your prison cell, remember that you had the opportunity and the ability to stop your actions that night. You robbed me of something very precious, and I will never forgive you for that. Mr. McKinney, I give you life in the memory of one who no longer lives. May you have a long life, and may you thank Matthew every day for it.
Detective Sergeant Rob Debris. This is all I've lived and breathed for a year. Daily, this has been my case daily. And now it's all over.
Maybe now we can move on and we can stop being stuck, you know?
Aaron Kreifels just hit me the minute that I walked out of that courthouse. And the reason why God wanted me to find them is so we didn't have to die out there all alone, you know? And if I hadn't come along, they wouldn't have found him for a few weeks at least. So it makes me feel real good he didn't have to die out there all alone.
Matt Galloway, I'm just really glad it's over. I really am. You know, testifying in that trial was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And don't get me wrong, I love the stage. I really do, but it's tricky because what you have is lawyers questioning you from this angle, but all your answers have to be funneled over to the jury at this angle. So basically what you got to do is establish a funneling system of sorts, and that's tricky for me because, you know, I'm a natural conversationalist. So it's just natural instinct that when somebody asks you a question, you look at that person and make eye contact. But you can't really do that when you have to, you know, scooch over and change your position in effect to funnel all of your answers toward the jury. Of course, I was able to do it several times over the course of my testimony.
It's time to move on. I think even the citizens are having the town painted red, so to speak. They're all gonna be glad to finally get the chance to maybe move on.
Andy Paris. On our last trip to Laramie, I had the good fortune of seeing Jedediah Schultz play the role of Pryor in Angels in America. After a performance, we spoke.
I didn't. For the longest time, I let myself get personally involved in Matthew Shepard's thing. It didn't seem real, you know? It seemed way blown out of proportion. Matthew Shepard seemed like a name instead of an individual. And I think right now, I just feel bad. I feel terrible for the person that I used to be. I can't believe I said anything of the sort about homosexuals. How did I let myself think that you were any different from me?
Romaine Patterson. Well, a year ago, I wanted to be a rock star, you know. That was my goal. And it's obviously changed in the past years. I've realized my role in taking my part. So now, instead of going to school for music, I'm going to go to school for communications and political science. Because I have a career in political activism. I actually just recently found out that I'm being honored in Washington, D.C. from the Anti-Defamation League. And, you know, whenever I think of my angels or any of the speaking I've done, it's Matthew. Matthew's like this path with this guiding little light for me to walk down. And anytime we get to a new door, he just opens it up and says, all right, next up, here we go. And if I get to be a rock star on the side, okay.
Jonas Slonaker, change is not an easy thing, and I don't think we were up for it here. The town got what they wanted. Those two boys got what they deserved, and we look good now. Justice has been served. The OK Corral. We shot down the villains, sent the prostitutes on the train. The town's cleaned up, and we don't have to talk about it anymore. You know, it's been a year since Matthew Shepard died, and there hasn't been any meaningful legislation in Wyoming. At a state level, at any town, nobody anywhere has passed any kind of laws. Anti-discrimination laws or hate crime legislation. Nobody has passed anything, anywhere. What's come out of this? What's come out of this that's concrete or lasting?
Moises Kaufman. We all agreed to meet one last time at the fence.
Doc O'Connor. I've been up to that site in my limousine, okay? And I remembered to myself the night that he and I drove around, and he said to me, Laramie sparkles, doesn't it? And where he was up there, if you sit exactly where he was up there, Laramie sparkles from there, with a low-lying cloud. It's the blue lights bouncing off the clouds from the airport, and it goes tss, 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 right over the whole city. I mean, it just blows you away. Matt was right there in that spot. And I can just picture in his eyes, I can just picture what he was seeing. The last thing he saw on this earth was the sparkling lights of Laramie.